There is a way this time of year for low-income people and families to get some money back from the federal government, but not everybody knows about it. This is the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. Welcome to the Delaware Way. The Earned Income Tax Credit is an important tool this time of year for those families that don't make a lot of money and want to get a pretty good refund. There's a federal Earned Income Tax Credit, but the one in the state doesn't come with a refund. This is the man that wants to change that. Representative Baumbach is a Democrat from the 23rd District. Explain that all to me. So there's a federal program that you can get a refund. You don't get one with the state?
Right. With the federal program, you compute the credit, and if you owe those taxes, you can apply it against it. But if you owe less than that amount, you get the excess refunded to you. In Delaware, it is only available to be applied against taxes you owe, so there's no refundability. So what that means is for the 72,000 or so families in Delaware who are eligible for the program, for the federal program, only about a third to at most a half of them receive any benefit from Delaware. So what I'm looking to do is to have Delaware match some of the other states to make sure that all that credit is refundable.
So how much would that mean to a family, let's say?
The average family gets around $180 a month from the federal government, and we currently match 20% of that, so about $35 a month. But that's only for those who owe the taxes. The refundability, it's a long story. I need to reduce it from a 20% match to a 6% match so we don't cost more money in the first year, but then we'll gradually increase it to 15%. So that $180 a month is going to get you somewhere in the orders of $25 a month additional, which makes a big difference if you're trying to make your rent.
It makes a big difference, yeah, to families, but what does it do to the state? How much money would this cost the state?
Well, what we initially do is we cost the state nothing. So what we're doing is we're changing where the dollars are going, which means we are taking some money from this is low-income people, but from the higher end of the low-income people to make money available at the lowest end for the low-income people.
Okay, now explain that to me.
Sure.
So you have some people who qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit. They're going to get money, but you're taking the money from other families?
Yes.
To give to them?
Yes.
Is that fair to the families you're taking it from, especially if you're saying that, when you say the higher end, you mean the highest end of the income scale, or are these people that could use that money too?
I know these are all low-income families. So if you've got a lot of children, you might be up to $50,000. But if you earn $60,000, you're not eligible. So we're talking people who earn a small amount of money. Individuals, $14,000 is the upper end. Families, $50,000. These are low-income people. We currently provide a 20% non-refundable match on the federal program to about a third of those 72,000 families. We're reducing that to a 6% match to free up the money to create the refund.
I'm following it. What I'm hearing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that you could be robbing poor Peter to pay poorer Peter.
Absolutely. That is exactly right. That's the way that we start off. Now, this bill has a 9-year track afterwards. In the first year, we are shifting dollars from one poor person to another poor person. We are, however, targeting it for those who are most in need at the lowest end of that low income, still workers. This is all earned income people who have that job. But we are initially cutting the match from 20% to 6% of the federal amount. But then we add 1% a year for 9 years until we bring it back up to 15%.
If you're making under a certain amount of money, you need that money.
I do get pushback, and for that matter, I've pushed back for myself. I really don't like the fact that I need to cut back that match from 20 to 6%, but I very much like the fact that I go from 0% to 6% for 2/3 of those families.
How about the gas tax? There's a bill now before the legislature to have a temporary 10-cent a gallon hike that would go to the state. Are you for that?
We've seen all the potholes we have in our state, on our roads, our bridges. We have made an increase last year to the fees for DMV that is raising dollars and helping our roads, but we can still use more. We are cheap compared to our neighboring states, other than New Jersey, which is a real outlier.
And theirs is going up.
And theirs is going up. And don't even talk about the real estate taxes. But with the Pennsylvania and with Maryland, we are much cheaper. The 10-cent will still keep us very competitive with those two states. And it's temporary. I actually think that we should have an ongoing, not just a temporary blip on that.
Nobody believes it's really temporary. That's the problem. I mean, because they're going to look at it again in a year, right?
But no, it goes to zero in a year. It can be, you can bring a new bill to extend it, but that requires new legislation and it requires a 2/3 vote for everything. So this is, or a 60% vote for everything.
And the other problem, and this is what I hear from people, that's one of them, they said none of these things are ever temporary. Whenever they have a tax, they keep it. That's the one pushback I hear on it. The other one is this feeling that it wouldn't just go to the transportation fund, and that there's no requirement of that. It would end up in the general fund.
Well, one of the things that happened with the DMV package of tax fee increases last year was we also increased the lockbox features to the Transportation Trust Fund. And that was a bipartisan effort because we said we need to have people legislators from both parties behind this. And I'll give credit to my Republican colleagues. They said, well, we need to have some confidence the dollars are going to go to the right thing. So we've increased the assurances. There's no guarantees there. We can still do nasty things as legislators, or irresponsible things as legislators, but it's easier for us to do what's needed and have the dollars stay where they need to go. That the gas tax revenues, it's much easier to keep them in Department of Transportation for road projects.
Couldn't something be put in the bill to make that a requirement?
It already is. However, there's, I'm going to say, constitutional restrictions. If we can't really tie the hands of future General Assemblies too much, what we can do, we have done. So we've made, I think, a lot of responsible steps to make sure that you have those assurances the dollars are spent in the right place if this 10-cent gas tax is passed. You
know, before we end, there's something I forgot to say about the earned income tax credit. I know everybody that could benefit from it doesn't either know about it or doesn't put in for it. Now, there's about 20% that don't know about it or don't put in for it. You have a free tax service in the state for people that are under a certain level. Is that right?
Yes, and I know Nehemiah Gateway is one of the private organizations that it's partnered with the state, and there's a second organization I can't recall offhand, but I think if you go to IRS and free tax preparation, if you look at Nehemiah Gateway or Delaware EITC preparation, you'll find free services for getting your tax returns prepared if you are a lower income individual.
And I know at the IRS there is also a mechanism to see if you qualify for the earned income tax credit too. You can put your information in there, they'll tell you if you can get it.
Yes, the EITC, I volunteered in that program several years ago. It is not a simple tax form to do, so it's pretty challenging to put that on the shoulders of lower income households. You do need some help most often, but those services are available for free.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Larry.
it. Representative Paul Baumbach from the 23rd District. When we come back, it's a program called 1 Million by 1 Million to help 1 million entrepreneurs raise $1 million in capital. And there are some of those entrepreneurs right here in Delaware, and we'll tell you how you can be part of the program when the Delaware Way continues.